Hello everyone, this is a how-to video on making a seed stitch scarf on the Zippy Loom. The Zippy Loom and the bulky yarn will make this project fast to complete. So we'll go through 3 basic steps. Number 1, casting on. Number 2, seed stitches. And number 3, binding off. For the supplies, you're going to be needing 2 Zippy Looms since we'll be using 6 pegs, a very thick yarn such as number 7 jumbo, or use 2 strands of number 5 or 6 like I did with this mustard yellow yarn, a pair of scissors, a hook, and a yarn needle. So let's begin the cast on step by making a slip knot. So you'll be making a loop with your left hand, taking some yarn in your right. You'll put that yarn through the loop to make a new loop, and then you will tighten it. Then you'll put that slip knot on the 6th peg, tighten it on the peg, and get ready to start working towards the left. You'll wrap each peg back to front as if you're making the letter E, and you'll do this twice. And then you'll knit over the bottom loop and tighten it. Wrap the next peg as well, back to front, and you're doing it twice, and then you'll knit over that bottom loop and you'll tighten. Again, make the letter E on the next peg and do that twice. Knit over the bottom loop and tighten it. Peg 2, you're going to E wrap it again. You're going to knit over and tighten it. And on peg 1 as well, you're going to wrap it twice, knit over, and tighten it a bit. And now you have cast it on. So now we're ready for row 1. We'll be skipping the first peg and then doing a knit, purl, knit, purl, knit sequence. So let's knit peg 2 by doing a U wrap front to back, and we're not wrapping the entire peg. Okay, so we will knit over that bottom loop, and then we're going to purl peg 3. So you'll lay the working yarn below, and with your hook, you're going to go under that loop, and you're going to grab the working yarn with the help of the grooves, and you're going to pull that upwards to make a new loop. You'll remove the old loop from that peg, and then you'll put the new loop on the peg, and then you can tighten it up a bit. For peg 4, it's the U wrap again. It's the U wrap knit stitch front to back. So you will knit over, and remember, you're not wrapping it completely. You'll tighten it a little bit as well, and then you'll purl for peg 5. So you lay your working yarn below with your hook, and with the help of the grooves, you're going to grab the working yarn and pull it upwards. You're going to make a new loop. You're going to remove the old loop from the peg and place the new loop there, and then tighten it a bit. Peg 6 is the U wrap knit stitch front to back again. So you will knit over that bottom loop and then tighten it. Okay, so you've completed the sequence of knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. Now we're going to work in the other direction, always skipping that very first peg. So you'll be starting on peg 5. You will do a U wrap knit stitch front to back, and then you will knit over, and then you're going to tighten it. You're going to purl peg 4. So you're going to grab that bottom working yarn with your hook to make a new loop, and then you're going to put that new loop on the peg. Peg 3, you're going to U wrap knit stitch. Of course, you will knit that over and tighten it a bit. And peg 2, you're going to purl. Again, you're taking that old loop off and putting that new loop on. And finally, peg 1, you're going to knit that peg by doing a U wrap again, front to back, and then you will knit over. You've now completed row 2. So now I think you can keep knitting on your own. Just remember to skip the first peg on every row. We call this a slip stitch. And then you'll do a knit, purl, knit, purl, knit. So by skipping that first peg, you will have a smoother edge to your scarf. So what should happen soon is that you'll start seeing a nice bumpy texture as you move along. I'm putting up a photo here so that you can see what it should start looking like. So keep knitting until you're at about 55 inches long, or just go until you're at the length you're looking for. I think you can pause your video to knit on your own, and then we will meet again to bind off and remove your seed stitch scarf from the loom. Now that we're back together and your scarf is long enough, we will bind off and finish up. To begin binding off, you will wrap peg 1 and peg 2 in a clockwise direction, and then you're going to knit over the bottom loops. Then you're going to be moving the loop on peg 2. So you're going to take it off and move it over to peg 1, and then you're going to knit that over. Then you're going to take that loop on peg 1 and move that one over to peg 2. You're going to wrap peg 3, and not too tightly because we don't want that edge to be too tight. You're going to knit that over, and then you're going to move that loop from peg 3 over to peg 2. You'll knit over that bottom loop, and then you'll move that loop to peg 3. Then you're going to wrap peg 4, again, not too tight. Don't tug on your working yarn too much. You're going to knit over that bottom loop, making sure to grab only that bottom loop. Then you're going to move that loop over to the left to peg 3, and then knit over. And then you're going to move that loop onto peg 4. Okay, so now we're on to peg 5, which you're going to wrap. You're going to knit that over. You're going to move that loop onto peg 4, and then knit over, again, keeping things kind of loose. Then you'll move that loop over to peg 5. You're going to wrap peg 6, knit over, move the loop to peg 5, and then you'll knit over, and then you're going to remove the last loop from the loom. So now, since you'll be putting your yarn through that last loop, you should cut it off maybe about 6 inches from the edge of your scarf. And you're going to pull that loose end through the loop, and you're going to tighten it to make a knot. And with your fingers or with your yarn needle, you're going to weave in that end. You can do that by putting it through the side stitches and then working towards the inside of your scarf. Then you'll be cutting off the remaining yarn with your scissors, and then you'll be finding the other end of your scarf to find the loose end where your slip knot was. So again, you can weave in the yarn through the side stitches, and then afterwards you can work towards the inside of your scarf. Then you'll cut off whatever yarn is sticking out, and then you are all set. So I hope you liked making your seed stitch scarf on the Zippy Loom after all that knitting and purling. Please subscribe to Ms. Yarn for more how-to tutorials.